Welcome to the Hope for Today podcast. Today is day 2. So yesterday we really set the stage, a perfect world fresh from the Creator's hand.
Absolutely perfect. But today, wow, things change fast.
And the question at the core of it all is, how did we go so quickly from two people to, well, global destruction? We're looking at Genesis chapters 4 through 7. It's a really sobering look at moral failure, the speed of culture, and God's response to it all.
It's absolutely foundational. And when you look at the choices made by those first generations, you can see the whole mechanism of moral collapse laid out so clearly. Our mission here is to really pull out the key takeaways about our choices, the way sin grows, and importantly, the path God always provides.
Even when everything seems to be falling apart.
Exactly.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning of that post-garden world with Cain and Abel. They're the first children, and they both bring offerings to God. We know Abel's offering was accepted, but Cain's was not.
And what's fascinating here is that it's not really about produce versus meat. That's not the point. It's about the posture of the heart. The text suggests Abel brought the best, the first, with a heart of faith. Cain just brought an offering.
Just some of the fruits of the soil.
Uh-huh.
And that difference in heart led to a huge reaction in him.
Oh, immediate. He was furious. The text says his face fell.
Right. But instead of an instant judgment, God steps in. It's like this urgent counseling session.
It is. This is so interesting. God doesn't just say, "Why are you angry?" He immediately gives Cain the tools to overcome it. He personifies temptation.
That line is so powerful. Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it.
Yes, it's a predator lying in wait. And God is saying, look, the choice is yours. I've given you the ability to master this thing.
That's the core truth for us right there, isn't it? God warns us with compassion before we fall.
And he equips us. We are never just victims of temptation. We have the power with his guidance to rule over it.
But Cain, he refused that guidance. He rejected that power God offered
Yeah,
him.
he did. And the consequence was catastrophic. He lures Abel into the field and he murders him.
And his response, when God confronts him,
Yeah.
it's just chilling. Am I my brother's keeper?
That is the ultimate statement of self-interest, the complete rejection of responsibility. It's the breakdown of community right at the very start.
And then God says something incredible.
He does. He says, listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Our actions, especially violence, they have repercussions that echo. They demand justice.
So Cain is cursed. He's driven from the ground, a restless wanderer. Justice is served. But then there's this moment of incredible mercy.
Exactly. Cain is afraid. He says, whoever finds me will kill me. He knows he's created a cycle of vengeance.
And he's now the target.
Right. But God steps in, he puts a mark on Cain, and declares that anyone who kills him will suffer vengeance 7 times over.
So what is that? It seems almost counterintuitive to protect a murderer.
It's not just mercy, it's the establishment of law. God is asserting his control over justice. He's saying, vengeance is mine. I will restrain the endless cycle of retribution.
He's setting the very first boundary on human justice.
That's it. Protecting even the guilty from unauthorized private revenge.
Okay, that makes sense. So Cain is banished, and from here humanity splits. We see these two dramatically different lines, two cultures.
Yes, the line of rebellion through Cain, and then the line of restoration through Seth. And Cain's line shows us how, culture and technology can just explode, completely separate from any moral character.
Cain builds a city right away, and then his descendants. I mean, the speed of innovation is stunning.
It really is. You have Jabal with livestock and tents, Jubal with music harps and flutes, and Tubal-Cain forging tools from bronze and iron.
So civilization, arts, technology, they aren't inherently good or bad.
Not at all. They're building a powerful, advanced culture, but the spiritual decay is accelerating just as fast.
And that decay hits its peak with Lamech a few generations down the line from Cain.
Lamech is the absolute pinnacle of human arrogance. First, he takes 2 wives, going against God's design. And then he delivers this boast to them. He says he killed a man for wounding him. And then he declares, if Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times.
Let's just pause on that. God's number 7 was meant to restrain violence.
Yes.
And Lamech takes it and multiplies it, turning it into a boast about his own capacity for magnified, self-serving revenge.
Precisely. He's declaring his pride is 77 times more important than God's law. It shows how sin doesn't just repeat, it magnifies exponentially when it's left unchecked.
It's the total opposite of walking with God. And thankfully, this story gives us an immediate counterpoint. Seth's line.
A radical alternative. Seth has a son, Enosh, and we get this critical verse. At that time, people began to call on the name of the Lord.
So while one line is building cities and boasting about murder, the other is turning toward worship.
Exactly. Their focus was upward on a relationship with their creator.
And the greatest example from that line is Enoch.
Oh, Enoch is just a spectacular example. The text says he walked faithfully with God for 300 years.
300 years, in the middle of that culture of growing violence.
Yes. And then he just defies death. The account says he was no more because God took him away. His life showed that a deep, intentional relationship with God is the only way to rise above a collapsing culture.
And that's the choice for us, isn't it? The path of Lamech power, pride, self-magnification, or the path of Enoch humility, obedience, walking faithfully with God.
And that brings us to the tragedy of where these two paths ultimately led. They merged. And the wickedness became absolute.
This is where we get that strange passage about the sons of God marrying the daughters of humans.
Yes, and there are a couple of main ways to understand that. Some see the sons of God as fallen angels, creating a corrupt lineage.
Which would have resulted in the Nephilim, these heroes of old.
Right. But another very strong interpretation is that this represents the righteous line of Seth abandoning their faith and intermarrying with the unrighteous, rebellious line of Cain.
So either way, the spiritual boundary was broken.
The boundary was broken, leading to universal corruption. And this leads to God's ultimate diagnosis of the human heart.
It's one of the most devastating verses. The Lord saw that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time.
Think about that phrasing. Not just the actions, the inclination of the thoughts. The very source code of their motivation was corrupt all the time.
That's total moral failure.
It is, and God's response isn't cold judgment, it's intensely emotional.
It says the Lord regretted making human beings and his heart was deeply troubled.
It's grief. The judgment that's coming isn't from an angry tyrant. It's the heartbroken response of a creator watching his creation intentionally self-destruct.
So he decides to wipe out all life. And he sets the limit for human days at 120 years.
In the middle of all that darkness, the narrative just pivots on this one phrase.
But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord.
That's the anchor of hope.
So what was it about Noah? What set him apart in a world that was completely corrupt?
The text gives us three specific things. 1, he was a righteous man. 2, he was blameless among the people of his time, meaning he kept his integrity.
And 3,
Like Enoch, he walked faithfully with God. He wasn't just avoiding sin, he was actively cultivating a relationship with the Creator.
so God tells Noah his plan. The earth is filled with violence, judgment is coming, but he establishes his covenant with Noah.
And he gives him a meticulously detailed plan for salvation.
The instructions for the ark, they're so precise. The type of wood, the pitch, the exact dimensions, the decks.
It's a blueprint, and this is a profound lesson for us. Salvation isn't found in some vague idea of faith. It's found in meticulous, specific obedience to God's commands.
Faith expressed through action.
Exactly. He had to build it just as God commanded. And the command covered everything, even the animals, to preserve life.
And Noah's response is captured so simply. Noah did everything just as God commanded him.
No arguments, no shortcuts, just total faithful obedience.
So Noah, his family, 8 people in total, and all the animals enter the ark. And then there's this 7-day wait.
A week of waiting. And then comes the critical moment. The Bible says the Lord shut him in.
Wow, not Noah. God himself sealed the door.
And that action is so heavy with meaning, it's the finality of it. It secures the safety of everyone inside, and it seals the fate of the world outside. It's the ultimate boundary between preservation and judgment.
And then the flood comes. The springs of the deep burst open, the heavens open up, and it rains for 40 days and 40 nights.
The cleansing is total. Every living thing on dry land perishes. Only Noah and those with him in the ark are left. It's the ultimate demonstration of God's power to preserve the righteous.
Feels like the lessons are so clear. Sin is a crouching enemy we have to rule over.
Or it will consume not just us, but generations after us. And we're always faced with that choice.
Yeah.
The path of self-importance like Lamech, or the path of faithful relationship like Noah and Enoch.
And ultimately, it's about God's covenant. Even when judgment is necessary, there is always a path to find favor.
Always. A specific, detailed plan for safety. But that safety depends on a faith that acts in obedience.
The final thought we want to leave you with is that image of the Lord shutting the door. Just ponder what it means to be shut in by God, the absolute safety, the total trust required to be sealed inside by his hand, completely protected from the chaos raging outside. That was it for day 2. Meet you on day 3 tomorrow.